Talk to us. What's your question? Who's it directed to?
It's directed to Mustafa. You know, I've been listening to this about, you know, the other prophets
Just
being
tell us your
Muslim
question.
and all that stuff. You know, that's all lovely and it's all great. I just have one question that defies logic. Even people in prison, drug dealers, thieves, liars, will even ask this question. How do you defend a man that has sexual relationships with a 9-year-old? I would like you to answer that. What do you do, buy her a pony? What? 9-year-old, for crying out loud. Answer that for me.
Mustafa.
Well, this is the marriage of Sayyidah Aisha. I answer that clearly in the book, my book, The Lies About Muhammad. First of all, the historical fact is, as far as Islamic law, is that a man is allowed to marry a woman if she fulfills 2 conditions. She reached puberty physically, and she mentally is mature to carry the responsibility of marriage. The people to determine that is the judge that's going to consummate the contract and her parents. Now, we have a famous correct hadith that Aisha said that at the time when Prophet Muhammad got married to her, she was 9 years old. However, any historical worth his salt would look into the fact that, well, how did Aisha know that she was 9 years old at the time? There were no birth certificates, there were no references whatsoever. And the matter of fact, the only companion or only man in the era of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ that we know exactly when he was born is the Prophet himself. And for that, he's the only prophet of God that we know where he was born, when he died, and where he's buried. Any one of the companions of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, we know only approximately their ages because there were no records. So Aisha might have been mistaken. However, I have other historical facts that they never tell you. Aisha, at the age supposedly 6, she was already engaged to another man, Abdullah ibn Mut'im, and the engagement was broken. She obviously was maybe incorrect about her age. The only fact is, between the engagement and her marriage to the Prophet, there were 3 years. We can trust her historically to saying that. But at the end of the day, the best man that ever walked the earth and her parents at the time said that she fits to be married physically and, in mental maturity, and the marriage was consummated. The Aisha, who's supposed to have been 18 years when the Prophet had died, is the 4th narrator of the quotations of the Prophet and one of the most intellectual greats of the Islamic era. One time, even she had a quote, and I brought it in my book, and I want to bring it that just prove that this was just a woman that maybe was 40 or 50 to be able to say that, and an exceptional woman. So my reference here as a Muslim is that when she got married, regardless, that is 1400 years ago in a rural area where girls reach maturity at a much young age, that she was fit to fulfill the conditions of marriage in Islam, physical maturity and mental maturity, with his parents and the Prophet, peace be upon him, as a reference. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was married to one woman only for 50 years, never seen, even before his prophethood, fornicating or chasing women or lust whatsoever. And that was also honoring of his best companion, her father, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, peace be upon him. Thank you.
Robert, you have a chance to respond.
Yes, thank you. In the first place, it's ridiculous for him to say Aisha didn't know how old she was. They knew when the seasons of the year turned. They knew what a year was. And it's very clear, it's repeated. It's kind of him to acknowledge, as many Islamic apologists do not acknowledge, that Aisha was indeed 9 when the marriage was consummated with Muhammad, who was 54 at the time. But he's dishonest about Aisha's condition. The Quran itself, in chapter 65, verse 4, speaks about divorcing women who have not yet menstruated. And so it obviously envisions marriage to prepubescent girls. And also, the fact that Muhammad consummated the marriage with Aisha when she was 9 is important for us now, because Muhammad is considered exemplary for conduct for Muslims throughout the ages. And so the Ayatollah Khomeini, when he took power in Iran, one of the first things he did was lower the legal marriageable age of girls to 9. And I have a fatwa here that just came out a few weeks ago, December 24th, from Islam Online, which is the 6th most popular Islamic website on the internet, asking the question, is it permissible to restrict the age at which girls can marry? And the answer speaks about chapter 65, verse 4 of the Quran, saying the noble Quran says that it is permissible to have sexual intercourse with a prepubescent girl, And so it's not me that he should argue with, it is Islam Online, but I don't see Mr. Zayed taking issue with Islam Online. And it also mentions that the Prophet, peace be upon him, entered into a marriage contract with Aisha when she was 6 years old. However, he did not have sex with her until she was 9 years old. So this is something that is taught among Muslims today as being normative, that you can marry a child because Muhammad did it and the Quran says it's okay. This is what makes this morally abominable. And Mr. Zayed should have the decency, out of the moral sense that I know he has from the true God, to acknowledge that that is morally abominable and to reject Muhammad's example in this way, rather than retailing these falsehoods about Aisha and about Muhammad and about the exemplary character that this child marriage has among Muslims to this day around the world.
Gentlemen, thank you. We are about to wrap up the program tonight.